Good afternoon, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to review another music DVD, and it's the famous Rockshow music DVD released by Paul McCartney and Wings. Actually, it was recorded in '76, but didn't come out until 26th of November 1980. It was basically a concert performance, an entire concert performance from their '76 tour, replicating the track listing that appeared on the live triple album, Wings Over America, which has to be one of the best live albums of all time, if not the best, in my opinion. By the way, before I start, I just want to cover a couple of comments I got. One person was asking, before I decide whether to believe what you're saying in your videos, can you please give a short biography of who you are and stuff? I'm not a qualified journalist. I don't have any affiliation to any of the Beatles. I don't have any particular connections with any of the people I'm talking about. I'm just a fan who does this as a hobby, so I'm not quite sure why he was asking for me to give kind of vindication of who I was, which I'm not about to do. So the other comment is about someone was complaining that I deleted a comment that they took an hour to write. Well, I don't recall deleting this particular comment. It was on the Pink Floyd, the Dave Gilmour, Roger Waters video. I've only deleted a handful of comments over the years, and that is when the comment gets personal or abusive, and I won't stand for that. But if it's reasonable criticism or subjective opinions, which most of this is, that's fair cop, and I wouldn't dream of deleting it. So I'm not sure what happened to this particular comment. I can't recall deleting, as I say. So I've only deleted a handful over the last 7 years. So that was that. Back to this Rockshow. So beautifully cased DVD here with the back cover with the track listing, and it was shown at the cinema at the time. But as I say, 4.5 years late, so Wings had already practically split up. This incarnation of Wings had for sure split up, and Denny Laine was about to go his separate way as well. So yeah, and Back to the Egg had already come in London Town as well. So this was, this DVD, this concert was pretty well old news when it came out, which probably detracted from its success. But over the course of time, it's become the go-to concert for me anyway, above all others. Just before I cover this album, I just want to say I've got several other DVDs. I've got Paul McCartney in Red Square from 2001. Paul McCartney covering the 9/11 tragedy, again from 2001 or 2002. Back in the US, covering the 2002 tour. None of these DVDs are ones that I revisit. Good Evening New York City, I think, was covering the Memory Almost Full tour. And I've seen him in concert on the new tour. I think I saw him a couple of times on the new tour. I didn't see him on the Egypt Station tour. My son Tommy did in Krakow, Poland. But I'm not about to fork out to go and see Paul again unless I've got front row tickets. Because basically, if I want to enjoy a Paul concert, I'll go to Wings 76 any day of the week. And this, although it's made to look like a full concert performance from one concert, and Seattle is mentioned, it's actually taken from 4 different concerts. New York City, 25th of May, 4 songs. Seattle, 10th of June, 5 songs. Los Angeles, 22nd of June, 15 songs. And I think a couple of songs on the 23rd of June in Los Angeles. But it's pretty seamless the way there's no kind of dialogue or intervening scenes of them getting on the bus and flying to the next venue, which I find a bit distracting. I like to see a full concert performance from start to finish, and it's pretty rare that any artist has done that. Just trying to think of the best example of that amongst his contemporaries. because normally you just get, you know, the clips of the songs live together with like backstage footage, and like the Rolling Thunder review we had from Dylan, although that was superb as well. It was granted a limited cinema release even in Budapest. I went to, it was one of the alternative cinemas downtown, and they were showing it, and that was a pretty excellent experience. So yeah, now let's go to why I think this is important. And I think the main reason is because Paul McCartney and Wings were at their peak. Their previous 3 albums, when they were doing this tour, Band on the Run and Venus and Mars had both hit #1 on both sides of the Atlantic. And Speed of Sound was released just before the tour started, I think, and was reaching #1 as well on both sides of the Atlantic. And Silly Love Songs was a #1 single for Wings during the actual tour for about 3 consecutive weeks, and I think 1 other week. So that must have really helped to be literally on top of the Billboard charts as they were doing the concerts. And Wings were a pretty big act at the time, if not the biggest act of the 70s. Maybe Led Zeppelin was slightly bigger, and the Stones were still pretty big, but Wings was up there in terms of groups. And it's great to see the track listing not dominated by Beatles songs, as so many latter day concerts have been 70% Beatles, 30% solo. This is the other way around, where you've got a handful of Beatles songs, Lady Madonna, Long and Winding Road. I've Just Seen a Face, Blackbird yesterday. But the rest of them are all Wings songs. There's, I think, 5 songs taken from Band on the Run, the title track, Jet, Let Me Roll It, Picasso's Last Words, maybe only 4 from Band on the Run, and Bluebird, so that's 5. And from Venus and Mars, I think there's no fewer than 8 tracks, because that was the album which really launched the tour the previous year in the UK, and then they went down to Australia. So by the time they got to the States, they were a very well-honed band, and they did 4 tracks from their current album, Speed of Sound. They did Beware My Love, Time to Hide, Silly Love Songs, and Let Him In. They also did a song called Soily, which didn't appear on any album other than the live album. They went back to 72 for the encore and did their rock and roll single, Hi Hi Hi. 1 track from Red Rose Speedway, My Love. They do a Moody Blues number, which Denny Laine originally sang the lead vocal on, Go Now. And basically, but you know, other than, as I say, the handful of Beatles song and that 1 Moody Blues songs, the rest is all Wings, and I love it. And the band is absolutely cooking. Jimmy McCulloch is on fire with his guitar solos, not just on Maybe I'm Amazed, although that is an absolute highlight, also throughout the concert. And he does a storming solo rendition of his song Medicine Jar from Venus and Mars. Joe English is a very tasteful drummer and very effective live with great drum fills, and he's singing his heart away on backing vocals. And him and Paul make a very powerful rhythm section. We'll cover Denny Laine next, who playing excellent electric guitar and then doubles up, sometimes goes to bass. Like, for example, on I've Just Seen a Face, he's playing bass. And then playing piano on a couple of songs as well. And Linda is on good form with playing keyboards and singing backing vocals. And Paul on bass is playing the bass lines of his life. I don't think he's ever surpassed his bass playing on this tour, on any other tour. I've seen him about nearly 20 times live. And he just doesn't put the same oomph and effort into his bass playing these days. And even on the 89-90 tour, the Flowers in the Dirt tour, it wasn't the same Paul that you see here at his absolute peak, when he was #1 in the world, singles chart, albums chart, and could do no wrong. And having endured quite a lean period early in his solo career in terms of favourability with the critics, here was the final vindication with a pretty long show and which was evidenced by this triple album, which sounds brilliant. I know they did some overdubbing to make it sound even better, but I can forgive them for that. It's just so great to have this song in concert, good quality, and this superb illustration of Wings from the gatefold of Wings Over America. So when you go to the concert, it's literally that lineup coming to life on screen in front of you. And one just wishes, I'm sure some of you watching were there at these concerts in the US in '76, or maybe down under in '75. Or even England in '75. The first time I saw him was 1990, January the 2nd. So a good 13 and a half years after this tour. But this was their peak. They went on to do some great latter-day stuff with Wings, and Paul McCartney and Denny Laine would collaborate very successfully on 6 more tracks, including Man of Kintyre, and produced 2 very solid albums, in my opinion, London Town and Back to the Egg. But if push comes to shove, and you were asked what was the peak of Wings' career, and actually indeed what is the peak of Paul McCartney's career post-Beatles, then I think you could do a lot worse than to go to this tour. And I would actually go to this tour and to this album, although a lot of people don't like to count live albums. I think it comes down to the same thing, like if a Martian was visiting the planet and you were asked to justify Paul McCartney's post-Beatle work, I think Wings Over America is a pretty damn good place to start. So, as I say, I've got my music system fixed up to the speaker so that I can watch concerts these days, and it's just great to crank it up loud and hear Wings Over America captured superbly on this Rockshow DVD. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.